It's hard to believe that it's been about 4 years since Genesis first revealed the brand's SUV to America called the GV80, all the way back in 2021. Now at the time, Genesis desperately needed an SUV because the brand launched in America with just basically a sedan. As you guys know, everybody tends to want SUVs. Now for 2025, it's time for Genesis to give the GV80 its first refresh, and it also includes the introduction of a sexier coupe model called the GV80 Coupe. As you can see this week, Genesis has loaned us the latest GV80 Coupe in the E-Supercharged configuration, painted in this new color called Bearing Blue Metallic. I also want to point out, welcome to my new garage. This will eventually become the Redline studio, where you may see me filming vehicles in this space because it may be either too cold or too hot outside. But enough about that. If you guys are looking for a luxury SUV that isn't quite as well known as your neighbor's BMW or Mercedes, how does the latest version of the 2025 GV80 Coupe stack up? Stay tuned to find out. So before we start talking about the exterior styling differences between the Coupe and the SUV, let me go ahead and pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this vehicle. Now, unlike the SUV, the Coupe actually has a unique engine. This vehicle starts off with the company's 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6. This model here, however, adds an electric supercharger to increase the power and the efficiency. Now, as you can see underneath this tidy hood, you're gonna find a longitudinally mounted engine, and that's because Genesis uses a unique rear-wheel drive architecture. All vehicles under the Genesis, brand, except for the GV60, which is electric, have a longitudinally mounted rear drive architecture. This twin-turbo 3.5-liter direct injection double overhead cam V6 has a 48-volt mild hybrid system and an electric supercharger. It's essentially borrowed out of the G90 flagship luxury sedan. Here in the GV80 Coupe, it makes 409 horsepower and 405 pound-feet of torque. That compares nicely to the 375 and 391 that you get in the base version of the GV80 Coupe, and of course the top engine in the GV80 SUV. It all goes out through an 8-speed automatic transmission, and the company's H-Track all-wheel drive system with a rear drive bias is standard. This model also includes an electronic limited slip rear differential to give it more of a sportier feel. Now, fuel economy is rated at 18 in the city and 22 on the highway. That's about a 1 to 2 mpg improvement over the SUV variant that we had a couple months ago. Genesis doesn't quote a 0 to 60 time, but the last time we tested the SUV, we got 5.3 seconds. We'll go ahead and get it out on the road and see what we can get in this model, which, by the way, the Coupe version is only around 50 pounds heavier, weighing in at around 5,200 pounds. Genesis technically doesn't have a tow rating for this vehicle. However, the SUV will tow up to 6,000 pounds. I'm going to expect this model should be able to do the same. It'll also reach a top speed of just shy of 150 miles an hour. If you guys are looking for the 4-cylinder, that's not available in the GV80 Coupe. And of course, this is a mild hybrid, but Genesis does not offer a full hybrid or a full electric version of the GV80 at the moment. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about this exterior styling. Now, as you can see, the GV80 got a pretty significant update for 2025. The Coupe variant, of course, is a new model, and it does have some unique styling elements. First of all, this color is called Bearing Blue Metallic. It's a new color, and it's unique, of course, to the Coupe version. You can see the styling updates that they've made include updated headlights. So these are the new MLA micro lens full LED headlights with the dual line theme with the LED daytime running light and turn signals. You can see the new multiple diode LEDs certainly to make it look a lot more upscale. The signature crest grille has kind of like a dual line theme where the texture is a little bit different. You also have some dark chrome throughout the grille along with the new Genesis logo, or the updated Genesis logo. I love the creases that you have in the hood with the sparkling metallic fleck that you get with this bearing blue color. You can see the front fascia also is a little bit more sculpted with some functional air intake openings. You can see the intercooler behind that portion there. You've got nicely integrated parking sensors, a front camera system, of course, and there's the radar sensor for the full 360, or for the driver assistance tech with the automatic emergency braking, adaptive cruise control. Overall, this SUV has been around, the design has been around since 2021, but it still looks good. I mean, this thing still has premium Bentley-like vibes to it. I'm not a big fan of this color. For a bearing blue color, it certainly is unique, but I'm just not a fan of like baby blue. It's kind of like a coolish grayish blue. but it does look good in the metallic fleck. But let me know in the comment section below if you guys like the updates that Genesis has made. Now, moving around the side profile, you can see this vehicle is a mid-size SUV, and it's about the same size as like a BMW X6 or a Mercedes-Benz GLE Coupe, with a 116.3-inch wheelbase and an overall length of 195.5. This has the same wheelbase, but around an inch longer than the SUV variant. It's also around 0.2 inches lower, but it's the same width at nearly 77.8 inches wide, or nearly 78 inches wide. You can see all GV80 Coupes have roughly 8.1 inches of ground clearance. These are the 22-inch wheels that are unique to the E-Supercharged model. You can see you've got a nearly 15-inch rotor behind the front wheels. Same thing for the rear wheels. You have a 4-piston upgraded performance caliper, which is black painted. That's how you can tell this is the supercharged model. You'll have black painted calipers versus the silver painted calipers on the non-supercharged variant. You have adaptive dampers with all independent suspension, but no adjustable air suspension. Genesis doesn't offer that on any of their models currently, at least I believe the G90 does, but not any other SUVs. You can see the dual line theme continues here with this kind of dark chrome along the side or the fender of the vehicle that has integrated turn signals, which look pretty nice. The turn signals are here as opposed to being on the side mirrors, where these are power folding. You have a 360 camera. They are body colored. You also have some chrome along the window trim, which gives it, again, an upscale vibe. There's no roof rails on this model. Instead, you just get a retractable power panoramic sunroof, which definitely is great that it opens up to vent air. That's standard equipment on all coupes. You can see the sloping roof line of this vehicle is ever apparent. And I have to say, Genesis, I think, did a great job for their first SUV coupe variant. It has some nice lines to it, nice proportions, although for a car that has 22-inch wheels, I'm surprised at how the body makes the wheels look kind of normal in size. It almost makes me think that they should have gone with like a 23-inch wheel. Those tires also are 265 by 40, so they are not the widest tire. I'm actually thinking Genesis should have put a staggered setup at the back. I actually think there could be room for a performance variant with red painted calipers and like a 295 width tire at some point, whenever Genesis decides to give us like a Magma version, which is supposedly the name of their new performance division that's upcoming. You can see the rear spoiler area is unique because it has kind of like a dual look to it. You can see that sloping roof line kind of creates not a need for a rear wiper, which you don't get back here. You can see there's also an integrated duckbill spoiler with some chrome trim. The taillights continue that dual line theme with the new design for the LEDs. I don't know if those are still micro lens array MLA taillights, but they certainly look nice with the dual line theme. You can see the badging here is typical chrome. I'm surprised it's not blacked out. That's technically an all-wheel drive badge, but it almost looks like it says four-wheel drive. You can see the coupe version also has a quad outlet exhaust system. That's how you can tell you have the supercharged model from the rear. There's no other indication besides the quad outlet exhaust. Technically, that exhaust is just a trim piece. The actual muffler is located behind it. Your reverse lights are full LEDs. They're located at the lower portion, and the rear bumper certainly looks a lot more aggressive. Now, opening up the tailgate, you can see power lift gates included, hands-free function as well. And of course, because this is the coupe model, you do have to sacrifice some cargo space. Now, on my first drive, we didn't actually have the numbers. Now we do. Genesis says with the back seats up, there's no third row on this model, you get just over 30 cubic feet of storage space. 30 cubic feet is certainly decent. It's around a 6 cubic feet reduction versus the SUV variant. You can see there's a nice little cargo net there to hold down your stuff. If you open this up, you can see there's also a little bit of underfloor storage. There is a tire mobility kit and repair kit. There is no spare tire for this vehicle, and if you want to fold down the seats, you can basically do so by just pushing this button. You can see the seats are power folding back here. They're also power reclining. I like how that's actually standard equipment on all coupes, and you can see once you fold down the back seat, it expands the cargo to around 62 cubic feet of space. 62 is certainly still usable, but it's a reduction of about 9 cubic feet compared to the GV80 SUV, which offers up to 71 cubic feet and 36 cubic feet. So keep that in mind. You are going to have to sacrifice some cargo flexibility, but this is definitely still relatively practical, even though you are gaining a lot more style with this sloped down roofline. Now, on the outside, the GV80 Coupe certainly has a unique look to it compared to the SUV. However, on the inside, this is where Genesis kind of kept things the same, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. The interior also got a pretty significant update. You can see here's the key fob for the vehicle. This is the latest Genesis key, which has these interesting diamond textures. I love the glossy white that they give the key as well for the covering. It certainly looks pretty fancy and upscale. It has the Genesis logo. It has typical buttons here for lock, unlock, power liftgate, and panic. And then on the other side, you can see it has the access to the remote start. car and the Smart Park feature, where you can move the vehicle forward and back a few feet if you're standing next to it by using the fob. Genesis also offers a digital key too, where you can use your smartphone as a key if you guys are an owner. So kind of keep that in mind, all the latest technology features. Now you can see the door handle here is traditional. It's a pull style door handle. It's not one of those digital latch systems. If I touch this little area here, that locks the door for you. It also will power fold the mirrors in, which is nice. If I touch the back of the door handles, that will unlock the door for you. Genesis sadly does not do a walk-away auto lock or unlock feature, which is something that you'll find on some of its competitors. Now, my particular test car has the Bearing Blue metallic exterior with the ultramarine premium Napa leather, which has the diamond quilting, and it also has the contrast orange stitch. It also has the kind of orange accented seat belts here, which add another 5 horsepower. Just kidding about that. But as you can see, this interior certainly makes a great first impression. These seats, as you can see, adjust in 16 different ways for the driver, 12 different ways for the passenger. They're heated, ventilated, and offer a massage function only on the driver's side. Sadly, the passenger gets shafted. They don't actually get the massage function. You also get a 2-person memory over here, and you can see material quality is excellent. You have beautiful, real premium Napa leather on the upper portion with the contrast orange stitch. That's genuine carbon fiber. That's how you know you've got the supercharged model. This is the only trim to give you the carbon fiber. There's an 18-speaker, 1400-watt Bang & Olufsen stereo. If you guys are an audiophile, that replaces the old Lexicon, and it sounds incredible. One of the best sounding stereos you're going to find in the industry. A nice padded leather over here. Beautiful metal accents here for the controls, for the window, for the mirror controls. They just have a typical high quality feel to them. They're one-touch power up and down windows, of course. You have beautiful leather over here with the contrast stitch. Down here, it is even softly padded, although not leather stitch. You have additional storage, of course. You have blue carpet. This is, remember, a dark blue interior, and it just looks fantastic, of course. It just kind of reminds me of the 90s almost, but I love how these kind of navy blues are kind of coming back into style. Now, stepping inside, you can see with just over 8 inches of ground clearance, you have a nice, easy SUV step-in height. As I get in and shut the door has a really solid sounding thunk, so that adds to the impression of quality. I don't recall this vehicle does have a soft close feature. So again, you're paying, near 6 figures for this car. You kind of expect it to offer the best in terms of luxury and features. Now, as you can see, once you're in here, the interior certainly reminds us a lot of the SUV. To start the vehicle up, the start-stop button is right here where you'd expect it to be. And because this vehicle is a mild hybrid, as you guys also heard, the engine just kind of whirs to life. It doesn't have a traditional starter noise because of that 48-volt mild hybrid system. It basically allows the engine to coast and shut off in a more seamless manner, which is definitely a nice touch to improve efficiency. Now you can see the steering wheel also looks pretty good. This is their newer D-cut steering wheel with the flat bottom design, beautiful perforated Napa leather, of course, with the contrast stitch. This is also a heated steering wheel. You have a power tilt telescoping function. You have their latest driver assistance tech. That's a camera that watches your face, part of their Highway Driving Assist 2.0. And you can also see the materials from the door carry over to the dash. So beautiful leather across here. Nice big and clear head-up display. The leather continues across this portion, more of that beautiful carbon fiber. And then all GV80 Coupes come with their latest OLED 27-inch display. This is technically one single display. It's not 2 separate displays, which look fantastic. You can see it's got their latest software, of course. This instrument panel is slightly customizable. It'll change based on whatever your drive mode is as well. You can kind of adjust it as well from the actual controls here on the steering wheel. This side over here, as you can see, also has their latest software, which includes over-the-air updates, and it also includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. My phone is not connected right now because I'm using it to film, but as you can see, I love the seamless look of this. This is 27 inches across. The old GV80 offered like a 14.5-inch center screen. This looks even more impressive. I didn't think that they could actually make it look more impressive. It kind of reminds me again of what BMW is doing, but BMW has 2 separate screens versus 1 screen for the GV80. I also love the way the dash vents look with that continuous flow along the entire part of the dash. You have paddles on the wheel to control the 8-speed auto. The transmission selector is not here. This is actually a dial that you can use if you don't want to use this as a touchscreen. It has built-in GPS, of course. The map quality is nothing super special. That's something where I think BMW or Mercedes does better. You also have a touch-sensitive panel here to control your dual or your tri-zone climate control feature. You can see you turn it on from there. This vehicle also has their mood curator and a perfume that wafts a scent. So you can see it offers 3 different intensities for the perfume. You have heated and ventilated seats as well, which is standard equipment on all GV80 Coupes. And then if you want to go back to this little setup here, you can see going to the mood curator, which you have to access via here. You can see once I do that, I can go into like a vitality mood. I can go into a delight, a care, a comfort. When I activate that, you can hear it plays music. It's supposed to play music. There we go. It plays music. It shows a little graphic there, and the sound quality in here is just fantastic. It also will waft the perfume. It kind of creates an ambiance here, and I love the way that screen looks over there. So that just, to me, is something that kind of pushes Genesis above and beyond. This reminds me of what Mercedes does in a lot of their cars. Plus the graphics there just look absolutely incredible, so I'm really impressed by that. If I want to put the vehicle into reverse, you can see, go into reverse there, there's your full 360 camera system, which also offers trajectory, it offers parking sensors, it offers automatic emergency braking. You can also do a full perimeter 360 scan, which offers really high quality resolution. That's among the best that you're gonna find in the business, which, by the way, there's the controller to control the 8-speed auto. Push that P button to go to park, rotate it to the right to go to drive, the left to go into neutral or reverse, and then just kind of middle, not quite as hard if you want to put it into neutral, of course, which again is relatively easy to use. Love that. Again, I think that just looks really cool. The ambient lighting in this vehicle also looks impressive. You can change it through like 64 different colors, even do a customized color. I love the aluminum trim and the carbon fiber trim here. Your drive mode selector is over here. You can see there's a total of 6 different drive modes. I can't count today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so it literally gives you all the kind of customization that you want, and I think that's important when you're driving a vehicle of this caliber. Your parking sensor deactivation switch is here, along with your locking for the 4-wheel drive system. You can defeat the auto start stop there. You can see there's a nice padded center console here, which opens up, and it's not the deepest center console. Actually, it's very, very shallow, so I'm surprised that they don't offer a little bit more storage there. There's nice, really padded leather over here. The seats are also surprisingly comfortable. They still aren't quite as plush and soft as some seats that I've tested from Lexus, for example, but for some reason, this model has a little bit more cushioning, and I found the seats to be comfortable and supportive. And again, you can access the massage feature by pushing this button over here. There's 3 different types of massages, but it's only on the driver's side, unfortunately. So that's something that I was hoping Genesis would address with the refresh. You can see glove compartment. It's a bin style. It's damped and lined with felt. It's a pretty nice size as well. You have an auto dimming and digital camera style rear view mirror, along with the beautiful ultra suede on the headliner that kind of extends into the back. This sunroof is also standard. It's very, very dark tinted. It has a retractable shade in case you don't want the sun at all. And you can also tilt it and open it up completely with a built-in sunshade or wind deflector. So that's, again, a really nice touch as well. I like how it's standard equipment. So overall, the interior definitely feels pretty similar to the SUV, but the Coupe just kind of goes with a darker, sportier vibe with the real carbon fiber trim, but it's got all the technology and luxury and comfort that you could want and demand, especially considering the price tag. Now, let's go ahead and hop into the backseat area and show you guys what that space is like. You can see the back seat basically allows you to seat 3 people across. The one thing I am noticing, however, is Genesis did remove the power retractable sunshades that you get in the SUV. I'm really shocked to see it's not here in the Coupe. Instead, you just have this nice leather, of course, with the real carbon fiber, aluminum trim, metal speakers for the Bang & Olufsen stereo. It's nice and padded leather here and even padded down here. You also get standard power folding and reclining and adjusting second row seats. So again, this is pretty nice. With the seat all the way back, Genesis says you have around 38.7 inches of legroom, and you also get the same beautiful red seat or orange seat belts with the orange contrast stitch. Let me go ahead and get back here and show you guys what that space is like. As you can see, I didn't actually have to duck my head too bad, considering this is the Coupe model, which is kind of surprising. As I shut the door also has a nice solid thunk, and it also includes the soft close feature. So again, a nice little detail that I wasn't expecting in this vehicle. But you can see this is a rear drive architecture, so there is a hump here that intrudes on the middle passenger, but this is pretty much my driving position. I have a good amount of legroom and foot space. I can easily get back here and cross my legs, which is nice. You also have heated and ventilated second row seats. That's standard equipment, along with your your third zone climate control. You've got a 12-volt power outlet here, of course, actual household power outlet, with 2 USB-C charging ports. I love how Genesis allows you to kind of adjust the seats from this little button here, although I suspect if you have kids back here, they might be messing with this a lot. If there's a passenger sitting there, you can see there's an armrest that also folds down and gives you 2 cup holders. There's also a little bit of storage here. And these seats, again, like I said, they do offer a recline function where you can recline the seat a pretty decent amount, actually. When I have it reclined like this, it's surprisingly very comfortable. I love how it's a power folding, and I can also slide the seat forward and back. In terms of headroom, I have maybe a solid 2 inches, so it's not bad. There's a little carve out here, but remember, you do lose some headroom compared to the SUV variant. But overall, as you can see, this backseat area certainly has the features you expect and demand. It has a pretty good amount of space. This is pretty comparable to what you're gonna find in a lot of its European rivals. So it's been roughly 8 months since I've been behind the wheel of the revised and newly introduced GV80 Coupe. Remember, this model in the top spec has a unique powertrain. It essentially adds an electric supercharger plus a 48-volt mild hybrid system to the standard twin turbocharged direct injection V6. This engine is technically shared, of course, with the flagship G90 luxury sedan, and in this application, it still makes the same 409 horsepower. So that's a pretty healthy amount. And the other cool thing about the Coupe is it also is roughly only about 50 pounds heavier versus the SUV variant. So performance should be better in this model thanks to the increase of like 34 additional horsepower. And that also makes this thing more powerful versus something like the BMW X6 xDrive 40 with its 3-liter turbo electrified inline 6. Now, of course, their company's H-Track all-wheel drive system is standard. The Coupe also gets a launch control system. To activate the launch control, you need to be in Sport Plus, and you have to fully defeat the stability and traction control to activate the launch control. And then you basically just have to brake torque it, and it'll say launch control active. Now, the last time I tested the SUV version on this similar stretch of road, I got 5.37 seconds. So I'm expecting this car to be faster. So let's go ahead and see what we can get in our actual testing here. So we've got it in Sport Plus with everything off. We'll go ahead and brake torque it. Launch ready. Launch active. Oof. All right, we got 0 to 60 in 5.02 seconds, basically 5 seconds dead. So that's around 0.4 seconds, 0.3 seconds, almost 0.4 seconds faster versus the SUV variant, which remember had only 375 horsepower. This has 409. I also noticed that this supercharged variant of the V6 has some kind of augmented sound because it almost tries to sound a little more guttural. It sounds almost V8-like, and the 8-speed auto in this mode is definitely, doing its best to kind of upshift less and downshift sooner. And it definitely feels like a really great partner to this engine. It's just really, really quick feeling. It feels effortless. It makes a nice sound. Let's go ahead and try it again here. Another run, see what we can get on this stretch. Oof, that first shift is definitely harsh. 5.22 seconds there. That's with it more going slightly uphill. I feel like I could break into the 4-second mark with this car. I'll try it one more time up ahead and see if we can actually get like a 4.99 second or something like that. But still, this is very impressive performance. However, it is not faster versus the last BMW X6 xDrive 40 that I tested. That model, I think, did it in like under 5 seconds easily. So the BMW, like so many other Germans, is kind of an overachieving engine. The engines are kind of underrated, whereas this car, I feel like the engine is just correctly rated as opposed to being underrated. Now, the other great thing about the Coupe is Genesis wanted to make this driving dynamic a lot sportier versus the SUV variant. The suspension has been uniquely tuned, same thing with the steering of this vehicle. It's definitely still a luxury SUV. It feels a little on the softer side, even in this mode with the big 22-inch wheels. We're riding on 265 square setup for the tires. They're Michelin all seasons. And the ride quality is still very, very comfortable, but it's also a little bit more firm in this mode. I'll try the different drive mode up ahead, but the steering in this car is kind of slow to respond. I'm noticing it adds artificial heft when you're in this mode. Now, the artificial heft gives you a feeling of sportiness, but when you actually start to push the vehicle around corners, you can feel the 5,200 pounds of weight. You can feel the softly tuned suspension, even though, again, we've got adaptive dampers. No adjustable air suspension in this car. That's something that you can get in some of the German rivals. So, keep that in mind. Genesis gets kind of close, but not 100% there. But overall, it definitely still feels a lot sportier than the GV80 SUV. So I'm applauding Genesis for making this thing a little bit more enthusiastic. Now, this car does include a limited slip rear differential when you guys have it in this mode with, of course, it turned off, the stability control turned off. It can step the rear out a little bit, although again, it's an all-wheel drive vehicle with a rear drive bias. It feels pretty planted. It feels somewhat sporty, but again, if you want extra sporty, you're gonna be looking at a Porsche Cayenne or Macan or a BMW X5 or X6. Genesis just doesn't quite get there. This is kind of what it feels like for Lexus to go sporty. Genesis is kind of right in that same level there. But let's try one more run here. See if we can break into the 5s, or the 4s, I'm sorry. Oof. All right, we did it. 4.96 seconds there. That's when I let the engines rev up to around 2,000 as opposed to 1,800 RPM. So 4.96 seconds is very respectable, a smidge slower than the BMW X6. So I think Genesis should be pretty proud of the powertrain in this vehicle. So let's go ahead and switch the drive mode here. I'm going to switch it to comfort mode. And this is where you're going to notice the fake engine sounds kind of go away. The steering gets a lot lighter. The suspension gets softer as well. You still hear the engine, however. I'll turn the stability control back on as well. But this 8-speed is just a very smooth transmission. It's a Genesis and Hyundai design transmission. It's a perfect partner, although not quite as responsive in sportier driving as like the ZF 8-speed that BMW puts in some of the other German brands. But this is still very good. It's, you know, a wonderful partner for the engine. The mild hybrid assist, you don't really feel it, but what you do get is an excellent start-stop for this vehicle. It's much more seamless versus what you feel in the non-electrified version. The mild supercharger, or the electric supercharger in this car also, I don't really notice it much in terms of making noise because, again, it's technically electric. It shouldn't make noise, but it just essentially adds extra torque and extra boost off the line to where you're waiting for the engine to spool up. And overall, it's just a really pleasant feel. I mean, I'm sitting here getting a massage. These seats also are very comfortable and supportive. There's something that Genesis did compared to the one that I tested out in Minneapolis. These seats, they're premium Napa leather, but they feel more plush. So I actually found the seats to be much more comfortable in this particular one versus the last one that I tested. I easily could drive this vehicle for hundreds of miles for hours and I would be very comfortable. There's that mood curator that's blowing in the perfume in this vehicle that's wafting in a scent that just smells incredible. It feels like a luxury vehicle for sure. I can see out of the front, the side, and the rear nicely. This vehicle has their hands-free driver assistance stuff, although it requires technically hands-on. There is a camera that watches my face, but it can give you hands-free for like short periods of time before it tells you to put your hands back on the wheel. There's also a digital camera review mirror, which basically shows you everything that's behind you, although the visibility out of the back is actually not too hateful considering this is the coupe variant of the car. And then in terms of fuel efficiency, in my week's worth of testing, I was averaging around 18.5 miles to the gallon in a mixture of city and highway driving. In the pure city, it was doing around 17 mpg, which is not great. That mild hybrid assist definitely helps with shutting the engine off a little bit sooner. On the highway, the best I could do was just under 22 mpg, which is pretty much bang on with what the EPA says. With a 21.1 gallon fuel tank, you're looking at around 400-ish miles of range on a full tank. I got around 350 in my week's worth of testing, which isn't bad, but again, Genesis still lags in the competition when it comes to efficiency. And I was hoping the mild hybrid portion of this powertrain would help it even more. It only improved the city MPG number by 2, the overall by 1. So again, Genesis has some work to do there because the BMW with its straight 6 can easily do over 30 miles to the gallon. So almost 10 MPG better than this car. So there's something to be said there. And I'm hoping Genesis will eventually introduce a full hybrid or just work on their efficiency. But other than that, the powertrain is excellent. The smoothness is excellent. The refinement is excellent. The build quality is excellent. There's not a single squeak and rattle in this car. And it also feels expensive between the ultra plush seats, the beautiful carbon fiber, this gorgeous 27-inch OLED display, which looks fantastic. I have plenty of reasons to recommend this car. Should you get it over the SUV variant? I mean, if you guys are tired of seeing the SUV, the coupe's definitely going to be standing out a lot more, and it also is the only way that you can get this twin turbo electric supercharged variant of this V6. So overall, I'm pretty impressed, and for Genesis's first coupe SUV offering, this thing is pretty impressive. So with just under 23,000 units sold in America last year, the GV80 remains Genesis's second best-selling SUV. In fact, last year was the best sales year ever for the GV80, although we don't quite know what the take rate was between the coupe and the SUV. That's something that I couldn't find out on the Genesis Press Media site. Now, obviously, 23,000 sales isn't quite as much as what you might expect to see from like other brands like Lexus, for example. The RX does well over 100,000 units, but I think it's still a win for Genesis because after spending a full week with both the SUV and the coupe, I'm still very impressed with what Genesis offers here. This is a luxury SUV that will constantly surprise you. I especially love the updates that Genesis made to the interior with the new infotainment display. It's still a very comfortable and luxurious place to spend time with really high quality materials and just a feeling of luxury that feels a little bit more special than some of the other brands out there as well. As you guys also saw, if you want to go for the E supercharged model, it is the quickest accelerating GV80 that I've ever tested. Accelerating accelerating that from 0 to 60 in just under 5 seconds, which would make it right in line with a lot of its competitors, not quite as quick as some of the really sporty options from BMW and Porsche, obviously. In terms of the ride and handling dynamics, this is still leaning more toward the comfort end, which is not a bad thing. I think luxury buyers are going to prefer that, but this is still a fun to drive car. If you really want to push it on some back roads, you just are going to feel its weight. But again, on those longer road trips, you're going to really appreciate the quiet interior, comfortable ride, and supportive seats. I actually found the seats to be more comfortable versus the SUV that I tested a couple of months ago. I just wish Genesis would expand the Ergo Motion massage to the passenger side. Currently, it's only on the driver's side. The rear seat is also pretty spacious. The trunk was reduced in capability, obviously, versus the SUV, but I think it's still pretty much usable. And really, where Genesis only lags for me is in fuel economy, because even though this is now a mild hybrid, I only really saw like a 2 mpg improvement over the SUV, and it really lags behind its competitors by as much as like 8 to 10 mpg in terms of real world fuel efficiency. So that's something that I'm hoping Genesis will address with a full hybrid version. The company has promised that they are working on a full hybrid powertrain, and we just don't know when it's going to debut, but I'm hoping it'll debut in the next couple of years. But if you are, essentially okay with the lower fuel efficiency and you're interested in this vehicle, they are already at Genesis showrooms, and the base price for the GV80 Coupe actually is a lot more expensive than the SUV. On paper, this is over 20 grand more expensive, starting at just under $80,000 for the base model. The base model is relatively because it comes very well equipped, of course, with the twin turbo V6, starting at around $79,995. That's essentially the same starting price as a GV80 SUV in the Sport Prestige V6 configuration. I think this is maybe only like $500 to $1,000 more expensive. Now, if you guys want the E-Supercharged model, that's again an exclusive engine for the Coupe, it's going to cost you another $6,000 more, just under 86 grand with destination and the upcharge for color. My test car here comes to just over $87,000, just under 88 grand essentially. That is a lot of money for a brand that doesn't quite have the prestige and recognition as some of its European rivals. However, if you guys compare this model at the top end with a comparably equipped top end BMW, Mercedes, Porsche, or Audi, this does offer some value. The BMW can be around $90,000. The Mercedes can be around $98,000. The Porsche can be well over $100,000. So there is some value to be had. You just have to make sure that you're comparing apples to apples and you're equipping the vehicles comparably. I do kind of think that Genesis should consider offering the 4-cylinder turbo to bring the price down of this model, but I think for now they are again offering it only with the V6 because they are offering this as kind of like the sporty, more luxurious, more unique option to the GV80 family. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2025 Genesis GV80 in the coupe configuration. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.